Hello and welcome. I'm Asavri Jindal and you're watching NewsX World. Let's take a look at the top stories of this hour. Authorities have released new video of the suspect in the Utah shooting seen running across a rooftop after firing the fatal shot. He was wearing sunglasses, Converse shoes and a black t-shirt with an American flag and eagle. Officials say over 7,000 tips have been received while forensic evidence is being processed to pursue the death penalty. Charlie Kirk's casket arrived in Arizona aboard Air Force 2, escorted by Vice President J.D. Vance and his wife Usha. The flight departed Salt Lake City near the site of the shooting in Mourning, Utah. The United Nations Security Council condemned the recent strikes on Qatar's capital Doha but did not mention Israel. Israel attempted to target Hamas leaders, escalating tensions in the region. The United States backed the statement, signaling disapproval of Prime Minister Netanyahu's unilateral action. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared there will be no Palestinian state as he signed the controversial E1 settlement expansion plan. The plan will add thousands of housing units to Male Adumim in West Bank. Netanyahu said the project aims to safeguard land, heritage and security while doubling the city's population. President Donald Trump downplayed Russia's role in the recent airspace violation over Poland, calling it a mistake. He made the remarks hours after questioning the drone incursions on Truth Social. Trump said he is unhappy with the situation and hopes it will come to an end. More than 300 South Koreans detained in a massive immigration raid at a Hyundai plant in Georgia are now back in South Korea. A chartered Korean air flight which departed Atlanta carrying the workers and 14 non-Koreans detained in the raid and have now landed in Ikoin Airport. Former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro was sentenced to 27 years and 3 months in prison for plotting a coup after the 2022 elections. The Supreme Court panel made him the first former president in Brazil's history convicted for attacking democracy. The ruling drew disapproval from the Trump administration. Belarus freed 52 prisoners, including an EU employee, following an appeal by President Donald Trump. The move comes as Washington seeks closer engagement with Minsk despite European skepticism. Trump has sent multiple US delegations this year to the state. US authorities have announced new developments in the investigation into the fatal shooting of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. The FBI and Utah Department of Public Safety have confirmed that a bolt-action rifle believed to be the murder weapon was recovered, along with images of a person of interest. The shooting occurred on September 10th at Utah Valley University during an outdoor event attended by 3,000 people. Kirk was fatally shot in the neck while responding to a question about mass shootings. Security footage shows a person of interest entering campus shortly before the event and ascending stairwells to the rooftop where the fatal shot was fired. Authorities have also released surveillance images showing the individual wearing a black long-sleeved shirt with a bald eagle and American flag design, black sunglasses and a dark baseball cap. Meanwhile, the FBI has released footage showing the suspect fleeing the scene by jumping off the roof and escaping into a nearby neighborhood. The suspect left behind a gun and ammunition in a wooded area near the university. Trace evidence collected includes shoe impressions, a forearm imprint and a palm print. A $100,000 reward is being offered for information leading to suspect's arrest. Authorities have urged anyone with relevant information to contact the FBI. Furthermore, Utah Governor Spencer Cox has stated that the state is preparing to pursue the death penalty in the case. He also confirmed that forensic evidence is still being processed and warned of disinformation circulating on social media, including efforts by foreign actors. Joining us at this point in time is Dr. Shruti Das Gupta, International Affairs expert. Ma'am, thank you for your time speaking to us on NewsX World. What do you make of this incident that has happened where Charlie Kirk has been fatally shot dead? Now, of course, there is a thorough investigation that's taking place. There is footage that has been released of the suspect coming down the rooftop. There is, in fact, a gun that has also been found. What do you make of it?
Charlie Kirk incident or murder, as in this case, shows us that how polarized and how hateful the rhetoric has become in USA. They are ready to tear each other apart. Any dissenting voice that does not match with the leftist and the democratic viewpoint is being silenced. We cannot disconnect this incident from the attack on Donald Trump before he won the elections. So we should connect these two in the same string and look at it as how the divisiveness has turned into a hatred-driven system where even murder is being justified, while on one side you'll see USA giving out candlelight marches in his honor. There was a minute of silence in EU Parliament and all the other places. On the other side, you will see on social media people pouring out hate. We'll have Ilhan Omar saying that that people should be celebrating the demise of such an individual. So it's a divided society where hatred has become the main vein of how they react to somebody who they do not approve of.
Right, absolutely. I also want to understand from you and your perspectives on that front. When we talk about the suspect killer, the authorities in Utah are saying that it was an individual who was of the age of a college student. We also know for a fact that the person left the rifle in a wooden area. Why exactly would he do that? And do you think this was something that was pre-planned well in advance?
That's what it is indicating, that he had access to the arms. He knew where to take the shot from. He had clearances of that area and he knew where to drop it off without suspicion. So probably more than just pre-planned, also assisted through various means. And Charlie Kirk is unfortunate because he was a pro-gun lobbyist. So he was pro the Second Amendment. He wanted guns in people's hand as a means of protection against extremist forces. And he now pays with his life for that kind of rhetoric. People are celebrating his death by saying that you liked guns, so then you should be at the receiving end of the bullet as well, and you should not cry about it, and people should not cry about it. But this is extremely hateful, extremely wrong. What he projected was guns should not be banned, and I believe myself that people should be allowed to hold guns, but not without medical and psychiatric certificates, and regular reviews, which would show that people who have access to such weapons are of sound mental and psychiatric health, and they would not be a danger to society. He made several off-color remarks, specifically about my country, India, but I am not a hateful person where I would celebrate his death just because I don't like what he says, and I don't like how he even justified slavery at one extent. I would not want him dead for his words, and this is exactly what has happened, and not without assistance. So this is not the first planned attack. This will probably not be the last one, and it would definitely scare a lot of nationalist or pro-Trump YouTubers or influencers into looking over their shoulder, because this is what America has come down to, silencing voices by the power of the bullet.
Absolutely. And the fact that the authorities are making it clear that yes, there is a lot of disinformation right now on social media, and they've said that they've in fact cautioned and warned against it. So do you think that is something that's going to also have an impact on the investigation?
Well, social media disinformation is more feeds into itself and its echo chambers. There, people who want to celebrate will find million and one bites out of his previous speeches to justify his death and even celebrate it. Those who are grieving right now as his supporters would find another million reasons and bites to showcase how a good human being he was. So social media disinformation will probably infuriate a few of his lovers and give cause to people to celebrate as well. But I
Right.
don't think it would in fact, influence the investigation. Hopefully, the investigation would be clean and would give people justice at the end of this.
Right, absolutely. Ms. Shruti Dasgupta, thank you so much for joining us on NewsX World. Meanwhile, students at Florida Atlantic University gathered on the night of September 11th to mourn conservative activist Charlie Kirk a day after he was fatally shot while speaking at Utah Valley University. The chapter of Turning Point USA, which is the student group Kirk founded, organized a candlelight vigil where dozens of students, alumni and faculty prayed, sang hymns and remembered his messages. Attendees lit candles, embraced one another and held a prayer circle. Some wore sweaters decorated with the US flag and Trump campaign hats, underscoring Kirk's influence in conservative politics. Let's in fact listen in to what they said.
He helped millions of people in this world, and his message is still going to go on. We're still going to say his name every day. We're still going to be a part of Turning Point. Turning Point next year and even this year is going to be bigger than ever. We're going to keep his message alive. We're going to keep Trump's message alive, Charlie Kirk's message alive. We're going to keep all of their messages alive, and we love them so much. FAU stands with Charlie Kirk. FAU loves Charlie Kirk.
Charlie Kirk knew that free speech is at threat, and it always is, really. I don't think there's a time ever that it isn't. And so his intention was to keep free speech prevalent and operational on college campuses where it should be most protected, right? That's what a university is for. And it's been threatened here. So we just want to keep dialogue open. That's why we had people talk this evening. That's why Charlie Kirk was talking just yesterday. That's why I talk, and with the rest of my club. That's why we host debates, discussions, speakers. Keep talking.
He was a true American patriot, and he was a proud defender and supporter of the First Amendment. And he was assassinated yesterday while exercising his right to free speech, while encouraging civil dialogue, which was something that he was so truly passionate about.
New Yorkers gathered outside Yankee Stadium expressing shock and sorrow over the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. President Donald Trump and other officials honored Kirk during a 9/11 commemorative ceremony. This is what some New Yorkers have to say.
No, I don't think so. I just think it's very sad what happened. He's a family man. He's a father of two young children and a beautiful wife, and it was just very, very sad to see that happen to anybody. Doesn't matter what side of the spectrum you're on.
It's a dark irony what just happened, and it saddens me whenever there's violence against anyone. But I hope that it's an eye-opener when it's against someone that is in support of less gun control.
I feel like that can honestly cause like some turmoil, like it's causing a war, like if there's conflict, it's just conflict. So I feel like now somebody can now go and try to shoot somebody else because they have an opinion and then think it's okay. And I don't.
Suspicious theories are circulating on social media regarding Charlie Kirk's assassination. One of them being that a private jet vanished right after the shooting that could be linked to Kirk's murder. Some reporters have pointed to flight tracking data that allegedly show a private aircraft departing from Provo Airport just minutes after the single gunshot that killed Kirk was fired at Utah Valley University on September 10th. The airport is located approximately 10 minutes from the campus. Speculations claim the aircraft left around at 2 p.m. heading south towards the Arizona border before reportedly disappearing from the radar. Tracking data appears to show the jet reappearing approximately 1 hour later and returning to Provo. As per reports citing FAA data, the aircraft is registered to an owner in Lehi, Utah. Well, at this time, we are unable to verify the claims circulating, and no evidence has been publicly released to support any connections between the private jet and Kirk's death. All right, we have breaking news coming in. A plane carrying 300 South Koreans who were detained in a large-scale U.S. immigration raid at the battery project site have landed at Incheon Airport. Their return capped a week of intense negotiations by Seoul to win their release and bring them home after they were taken into custody in handcuffs and shackles. As per the reports, the plane also carried 10 workers from China and 3 from Japan and Indonesia. All right, we will track more developments on that front, but for now we leave it there and shift our focus to some more news. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared that there will be no Palestinian state as he signed an agreement to advance the controversial E1 settlement expansion plan in the West Bank. The plan will add more than 3,400 housing units to Ma'ale Adumim, with infrastructure upgrades and roads involving an investment of nearly $1 billion. This is what the controversial statement issued by the Israeli Prime Minister entailed.
אנחנו אמרנו, לא תקום מדינה פלסטינית, ואכן לא תקום מדינה פלסטינית. המקום הזה הוא שלנו. אנחנו נדאג גם למורשתנו, גם לארצנו וגם לביטחוננו. לכן היום קורה משהו גדול מאוד פה, כי הדבר הזה עומד לממש הכפלה של העיר מעלה אדומים. יהיו פה 70,000 איש תוך 5 שנים.
Advocates of a two-state solution warn the plan will divide the West Bank. In fact, sever East Jerusalem and undermine the future viability of Palestinian state. Right-wing ministers celebrated the move, calling it a step towards annexation, while Israeli NGO Peace now described it as deadly for any chance of a peaceful two-state solution. All right, joining us at this point in time is Yossi Cooper-Vasser, Israeli intelligence and security expert. So thank you for your time speaking to us on NewsX World. What do you make of the developments that are taking place, especially the fact that now there's an agreement that's been advanced for the E1 settlement expansion plan in the West Bank?
Well, yes, what happened is that we saw the initiative of President Macron, together with some other key leaders in the West, to recognize something called the Palestinian state that doesn't really exist. And this caused the Israelis to look for countermeasures. And instead of applying the Israeli law in some parts of the West Bank, they decided to move forward with construction of a new neighborhood in Ma'ale Adumim that is allegedly supposed to make it more difficult to establish a Palestinian state because it's going to divide this northern part of the West Bank from the southern part of it. In fact, its impact is much less because, first of all, it's going to take a long time to build it. And secondly, even if it is built, there is a plan simultaneously to build a road that would connect the southern part and the northern part of the West Bank. So that's can be done at the same time, parallelly. So I don't think that this by itself is going to be the obstacle to establishing a Palestinian state. The obstacle is that the Palestinian state is going to be such a security threat to Israel that there is no way that the Israelis are going to accept a Palestinian state in the first place. Because as long as the Palestinians stick to their struggle against Israel narrative, There is no way that Israel is going to allow them to be able to come through on their plan to fight against Israel. And what we all remember here in Israel is the 7th of October that came out of Gaza. That was, in fact, a Palestinian state. It was ruled by a Palestinian entity. It was ruled by a Palestinian organization called Hamas. And what they took advantage of the fact that they were able to rule this area was to prepare an attack against Israel. That's what they did ever since they came to power in 2007. So this makes no sense for Israelis to allow Palestinians to have a state just in their midst.
Right, absolutely. I request you to stay on with us. In fact, Germany said that it will support United Nations for a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, but does not believe the time has come to recognize a Palestinian state. As per reports, Germany will support for a solution which simply describes the status quo in international law. A two-state solution is the idea that the two sides could coexist in peace alongside each other. A Palestinian state on territory Israel captured in 1967 war, the Gaza Strip and West Bank linked by a corridor through Israel. Meanwhile, Britain, France, Canada, Australia and Belgium have said that they will recognize a Palestinian state, and the United Nations General Assembly, although London said that it could not hold back if Israel were to take steps to ease the humanitarian crisis in Gaza and commit to a long-term peace process. Mr. Yossi continues to be with us on the broadcast. So what do you make of the stance that Germany has now opted for?
I think the Germans on this are right, because the time is not appropriate for moving forward with the Palestinian state. We are still under the impression of what happened, as I said, in October 7th, was the heinous attack by Hamas from what seemed was what actually working as a Palestinian state. And it makes no sense. Before the Palestinians recognize Israel as a Jewish state, before the Palestinians are ready to give up terror and this ongoing struggle against Israel until its demise, before the Palestinians stop paying salaries to terrorists arrested in Israeli jails and to the families of terrorists that lost their lives while carrying out terror attacks, before all of these things happen, there's no logic behind this move of recognizing a Palestinian state. And beyond everything, this is not going to change anything on the ground, because there's not going to be a Palestinian state and there isn't a Palestinian state. So what's the purpose of all these steps that reward Hamas for their attack on the 7th of October and help nobody in moving forward towards a settlement of the conflict and finding a solution to the war in Gaza? This is against any logic, and no wonder that the Americans are against it. The Germans feel that it's not the right time. And those who do that do it for all kinds of domestic political considerations, and not because they think this is going to contribute in any way to solving the problems we have here in the Middle East.
Right, absolutely, sir. With that, I'd like to thank you for joining us on NewsX World, sharing your perspectives with us. We will continue to track more developments on that front, but for now, we leave it there and shift our focus. Polish President Karol Nawrocki says that Poland has been in a hybrid war for the past 4 years. He made the remarks during a National Security Council meeting. The comments came after Warsaw accused Moscow of a drone raid on Polish territory. Nawrocki adds Poland must boost investments in air and missile defense to strengthen security. Listen in to what Karol Nawrocki, Polish president, has said.
Jeśli ktoś miał wątpliwości, że od 4 lat Polska uczestniczy wprost w wojnie hybrydowej, to myślę, że 10 września 2025 roku może ostatecznie te wątpliwości porzucić. Tak, Polska jest uczestnikiem wojny hybrydowej od 4 lat. Ta wojna odbywa się. Musimy zwiększyć inwestycje w obronę powietrzną i w obronę przeciwrakietową, zarówno w zakup nowych systemów, jak i w rozwój krajowych technologii. To oczywiście będzie wzmocnić odporność cywilną. Oczywiście obronność to nie jest tylko wojsko, ale to także sprawne systemy alarmowe, budowanie schronów, informowanie, szkolenia obywateli, gotowość samorządów także do tego, aby w tym uczestniczyć.
Glenn Grant, ex-advisor to Ukrainian Defense Ministry, joins us at this point in time. Thank you so much for your time speaking to us on NewsX World. I'd like to understand from you, of course, the Poland airspace was violated, and following that, this is a statement that the Polish president has put out that they have been in a hybrid war for the past 4 years. What do you make of the statement?
Well, all European countries have been in a hybrid war for the last 4 years. I mean, Russia has actually attacked ammunition depots all over Europe. Bulgaria, in fact, a lot longer than 4 years. You can go right back to 2010, 2011, when Russia actually attacked the Bulgarian ammunition depots. So this has been going on for a long time. But Poland has actually been in hybrid war for longer than 4 years. So this is nothing new. What is new, I suppose, is that Poland has actually woken up to the fact that it wasn't prepared, despite the fact it's been in hybrid war. It hasn't actually taken the necessary precautions for dealing with drones that it should have done, considering that it's already had a couple cross into its country. And it's actually a bad case of neglect by, I'm going to say, by senior military and by politicians, that they didn't actually spark and realize that, if one or two came, then more were coming next.
I also want to understand from you, the situation has doused. NATO had scrambled fighter jets to intercept the Russian drones. But what do you make of Russia's actions, and what does it essentially mean for the ceasefire deal that was in the motion? Does it mean that now that's become history?
Well, there was no ceasefire deal. Let's get this clear. There was never ever a ceasefire deal. This has always been in Trump's imagination. Trump is talking up a ceasefire deal, but Putin has never agreed to anything. And if Putin doesn't agree to a ceasefire deal, then there's no deal on the table, and there never has been. So that's the first thing. And I mean, NATO actually responded relatively quite well yesterday. The system worked, but unfortunately, the system worked with the wrong equipment. So they were using really, really high-level, expensive equipment to down cheap drones. So NATO itself has actually got to think hard about what it actually does in future with these things, because it can't afford to be using expensive multi-million-pound missiles on something that's so cheap. But peace deal, no, there never was a peace deal, and there isn't going to be a peace deal in the near future. Putin is going to keep going in the way that he has been.
Right, absolutely. With that, I'd like to thank you for joining us on NewsX World, sharing your perspectives with us. Meanwhile, we have some breaking news coming in. The United Kingdom has announced a new package of sanctions targeting Russia. The package includes 70 new specifications and 30 new destinations aimed at increasing pressure on Moscow. The move comes amid ongoing tensions over Russia's actions in Ukraine and the recent Kyiv strike. All right, we leave it there and we shift our focus. Well, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has urged his party to be ready to take up arms if the country is attacked by US imperialism. Speaking at the closing ceremony of the United Socialist Party Congress in Caracas, Maduro said that the party must be prepared to shift from non-armed to armed forms of fighting in case of foreign aggression. Let's in fact listen in to the statement that has been made by the Venezuelan leader.
Así que estamos activando en este momento, de norte a sur, de este a oeste, desde todas las costas del Caribe venezolano, desde la frontera con Colombia, desde los Andes, la Fuerza Armada Nacional Bolivariana a mi mando, con todo el equipamiento, tropa, oficiales. Vamos entonces a la consolidación de posiciones y a la consolidación del sistema defensivo nacional. Cuerpos combatientes de la milicia, Milicia Nacional Bolivariana desplegado en la toma de sus objetivos de manera inmediata a lo largo y ancho de 284 objetivos, 284 frentes de batalla de la independencia y la paz venezolana.
Tensions have escalated after the U.S. deployed a naval force to the southern Caribbean and increased the reward for Maduro's arrest to $50 million. Venezuela's Defense Minister, Vladimir Lopez, claimed that defense forces have been deployed in various patrol zones. This is what he added.
Del país. Hemos estado desplegando medios de defensa aérea. Hemos estado asignándole misiones a las fuerzas especiales. Hemos estado desconcentrando los medios aéreos, la aviación militar bolivariana, vertical y horizontalmente, desconcentrando también los medios navales para hacer barreras y para asignar zonas de patrullaje también.
Well, this is all we have for the time being. We will continue to bring more updates, but for now, we slip into a short break.